Now let's get straight into it. Joining me now is Sky News Washington correspondent Annelise Nielsen. Annelise, welcome to the show. And Emmanuel Macron is in Washington, and Joe Biden showed how familiar he was with press conference etiquette with this little grab.
Okay, who's the next question? Got my list here.
On this side.
Is it my turn to call on someone? Right? Okay, how about NPR, Tom Keith?
Well, Annelise, I know it's my turn to ask you a question, so there were more than just bloopers. What was the point of this visit by Emmanuel Macron to Washington?
Well, I mean, the visit's important. It's one of the first ones that any president has. They have the French come and visit because it is the longest alliance that the American Republic has. But I'm glad you pulled out that bit of the press conference, because this is just the latest in what's been a series of issues with the press interacting with this White House. We very rarely get any opportunities to ask questions of the president. He does less than any modern president, and we should be getting the accounting of the exact number of media appearances he's done this year compared to last year and compared to former presidents, but he comes in well below. And this is a new strategy at these press conferences, because these journalists are dying to ask the questions. When they do get a chance, they'll ask a question with 8 different follow-ups put forward, and it's a mess. And so that's why we saw that one press conference with Joe Biden blow out to about an hour and a half. But this actually, I feel like it really doesn't get called out enough. We don't see this president answer that many questions. When he does, it tends to be when he's getting on a plane, getting off a plane, he gets to chuck one comment out and then doesn't have a follow-up. And I think that's really important. And we should be seeing more of him, especially as we come into 2024. And we're talking about him now being a presidential contender again, that he's going to run again. And so I don't think that they should be keeping to give him a free pass on these kind of things. When we've seen this has all been COVID related, that's not an excuse anymore.
Well, indeed, he's had COVID, and I mean, it's this whole same keep him in the basement strategy that did him so well, I guess, in the 2020 campaign. But I want to move on, because there are some other foreign dignitaries in the U.S. Why are Prince William and Princess Kate over in the U.S.?
Oh, they're here for their Earthshot Awards. It's these climate change awards that they're trying to fix everything in the next decade, strike this optimistic tone. But I'm telling you, this is my Christmas present, the fact that Harry and Meghan have decided today, of all days, as they've now landed in the US. They're trying to smooth waters over. They're supposed to be meeting Joe Biden on Friday, and there's been a bit of love lost there as well. We all saw how far back Joe Biden sat at the Queen's funeral. I'm sure that has to do with his commentary on Ireland. But Harry and Meghan release the trailer for not just their documentary series. We're going to get multiple episodes, and it's all about their love story. And if the timing couldn't be better, it's the same time we have a racism row coming out of Buckingham Palace. And so for all they're trying to stay away from the spotlight and all the privacy, man, it's going to be a good few weeks.
Well, yeah, and Annelise, I mean, I've got to wonder, is what's going on now? Are these dueling royal camps, or one no longer royal camp, fighting for the reputation of the royal family in the United States?
They really are, and I've been quite shocked myself just seeing how much Harry and Meghan have managed to own the media narrative here. I was flicking through the morning programs this morning and how they were covering the racism row. This woman who is a lady in waiting for Queen Camilla now is being typecast. She's being introduced and put into context as William's godmother. No one was ever saying Prince Andrew up against his associations with Epstein, Harry's godfather. That connection was never made, and all of a sudden William has to be this woman who is also 83, if we can put that into context. I have been myself on the other end of many awkward interactions in my life. Every conversation doesn't come out exactly the way you want it to, and it does sound like she was pretty inappropriate with this woman, but good grief, it's pretty tricky when you're that age in those kind of social settings to get it right all the time. And she did apologise, and so I don't know if this is going to have legs in the US, but the headlines have certainly landed in a very unfortunate way for the royal family.
Well, that's right. The woman at the heart of the allegations once said that Harry and Meghan were the victims of domestic violence at the hands of the palace. So I take that for what it's worth. But anyway, finally, very quickly, I want to ask you, there's more coming out about this fella, Sam Bankman-Fried, the man behind the spectacular FTX crypto wallet collapse, yet crypto exchange collapse, yet he denies doing anything wrong. Have a look at this.
Please ask him if he thinks what happened was fraud. These are the kinds of letters that I've been getting repeatedly over the past several days. What do you tell this man?
Yeah. I mean, I'm deeply sorry about what happened.
Annelise, very quickly, he was a huge Democrat donor. Does this have anything to do with why the media seems to be covering for this guy and not absolutely taking him to the woodshed?
Oh, no, 40 million, what's that in US politics? 40 million in donations, what does that really buy you? Just because Soros is the only one who's donated more? Nah, definitely not. He has, I should say, actually, he did donate to a number of Republicans as well, but he's then said in this interview that that was all dark money, and so you can't trace it. He said it is equally as much, but by digging through, it's all put publicly in the US on Open Secrets, a website which tracks political donations. It is very front and centre just how much he gave to Democrat candidates, many of whom are now having to put equal donations into charities because they realise just how toxic this is going to be. But it's not getting the media attention it should. I don't quite understand why. I think you might be onto something, but I think we will see a lot more come out about this as people understand more. I think just the other aspect too, who understands crypto? No one actually understands crypto. So I think there's that element where it's like, ugh, what are we talking about?
That's a whole other show, but I think you're right there. You always hear first on the U.S. report long before the New York Times and everybody else talks about it. Thank you so much, Annelise Nielsen, for joining